Welcome to our boxing show, the No Decision Podcast. Wes Ibarra here and Joy Villapando. Let's get right to it, shall we? The
Let's go.
WBO middleweight title fight of the world. Demetrius Andrade, undefeated, versus the very game mandatory challenger in Liam Williams out of the UK. This fight was held in the Hard Rock Resort in Hollywood, Florida, via Match Room in the Zone. Just by looking at this fight, we all know Andrade's story. Andrade is the most avoided middleweight in his class.
Hmm.
No, but everybody knows why. He is very lethal,
Right.
and he seemed to do well enough to beat Liam Williams. Liam Williams did have a lot of good rounds against Demetrius Andrade, and but then again he got knocked down by Andrade in the second round. And what I also did not like was that whenever Liam Williams had a run, it felt like Andrade was acting as if he was getting hurt, but then again he sold it as if he's not getting hurt, but
Yeah.
just crouching too much. Nonetheless, Demetrius Andrade comes away with a uh, unanimous decision victory, retaining his title, improving to 30-0
Mm.
against a very game opponent, and his sights are set on the Charlo brothers and Triple G. So, but I don't know. I'm a little critical here. I'm happy that Demetrius Andrade won,
Mm.
but with that kind of performance, if you're gonna equate that to a Triple G or Jermel or Jamal Charlo, something tells me that O is gonna go if you're gonna fight him like that.
Ooh. Nice, nice. Yeah, I agree. He is kind of like the Deontay Wilder of the middleweight division at the moment. He is very powerful. I think we've spoken about him, right? He's very aggressive. But this fight, I think he kind of proved that he could actually box. He actually pretty much went in there and just slugged it out with Liam Williams. And yeah, I think when you mentioned Wes that he usually would just duck, I think that's pretty much his instinctual defensive move. He doesn't have a great defense, and so I think someone taught him to pretty much duck whenever he gets hurt or whenever he gets caught. I think it's an instinctual defensive thing that he does. I think one way he doesn't get caught with any clean shots. And yeah, of course it's gonna be frustrating, but yeah, with Triple G, he's gonna have a lot of trouble with Triple G and the Charlo brothers. We could probably see that
Let
zero
alone
turn into
Canelo
one.
Alvarez.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
alone Canelo Alvarez.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, Canelo is kind of focused on, Plant and Billy Joe Saunders at the moment. If Demetrius Andrade wins against Triple G or any of the Charlo brothers, then I think you earn a spot to have Canelo's attention.
That's fair. I mean, but I don't know, man. There needs to be a lot of tuning up that needs to be done because it seemed like it was gonna be one of those fights where Boo Boo was gonna walk him down,
Nah,
but that was far from it. And
yeah,
yeah, a lot of things need to change in that camp. Tactically, if
yeah,
say that contract gets signed against the Charlo brothers, one of the Charlo brothers, or Triple G, if you want a shot to win and to win convincingly.
yeah, absolutely. And Liam Williams is no slouch. He's a boxer puncher. He's more of a slugger, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, like I said, right? He kind of proved to me that he could actually box a little bit, especially against Liam Williams. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he does get matched up with any of the Charlo brothers or Triple G.
Nonetheless, it's a big congratulations to the WBO middleweight champion of the world. We'll leave on that for right now. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about probably the shittiest fight ever scheduled in the history of boxing. Welcome back to the No Decision Podcast. We are now going to open this roundup with, like I said, the shittiest boxing match ever made in the history of boxing. No disrespect to Snoop Dogg, but I'm referring to Triller Fight Club's Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. I don't want to really talk about this, so Joy, take over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have a guy that has been training how to, become a boxer. I don't know for how many years now, for 4 years. He has 3 fights now under his belt. versus a guy who is primarily a wrestler, who doesn't really do good at striking in the MMA, in MMA. And so, I right from the get go, I didn't really believe that Ben Askren was gonna do well. But he did do some boxing training. He didn't look good. His defense was split right down the middle. That's where Paul kind of was able to land that hook. I believe is a right hook. But yeah, Stephen A. Smith. I think it's a good thing to point out. Stephen A. Smith said that this guy pretty much he has 3 wins. Put him inside a boxer, right? And it seems as though one of the contenders is the Fury, Tommy Fury, I think, right? That's his name.
Yeah, Tommy Fury is
Yeah.
Tyson Fury's cousin, I think,
I
or
think
no,
half
or
brother.
one of his brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so,
Um.
hey, I'm all for it, right? I mean, this is what the Paul brothers want. They want a real boxer in there. You're gonna get it in Fury. I think Fury could probably hold his own.
Yeah. God damn it! They need to stop scheduling fights that they know that they can win.
They can win, right?
Because
Exactly,
if they're gonna talk all this smoke,
right?
then fight somebody. If you
Exactly,
say you want, if you say you're gonna be world champion, okay,
right.
fight somebody.
I don't know if it was Jake Paul or Logan Paul, but they believe that they've earned a title fight. Okay, yeah. I mean, you're in the. By the way, he's in the division where it's the cruiserweights, and we know a guy that from cruiserweight who is pretty much the king of cruiserweights. I know now he's in the heavyweights, but
Alexander Usyk.
Alexander Usyk. I mean, well,
Ah,
I don't
dude,
think.
but if you're Alexander Usyk, you don't want to waste your
Well,
time.
that's the thing. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Yeah, waste my time. Like I said, right, he's probably gonna move up to heavyweights anyways. So yeah, I'm down for Tommy Fury to fight one of the Paul. I think Tommy Fury.
Sure,
The last time I saw him,
and
he was pretty good.
I'll tell you what bothers me about this joy is like if you're Ben Askren, if you're Nate Robinson or Ann Ensign Gibb or KSI or whatever, why the hell would you do this?
No, yeah,
Because these mentally unstable dudes are playing a mental game
yeah.
and that they're gonna win.
Well, yeah, that's the
You
thing,
know,
right? I mean, that's why I can't wait until Floyd gets into one of these guys. I think Floyd is gonna teach them a boxing lesson. I love it when Floyd fought Conor McGregor, wore him down, and just started sitting on his own punches. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But yeah, let's get it on. Put Tommy Fury in there. He's seems to be the only boxer that actually wants to get in with one of these Paul brothers. Other than that,
yeah,
Teofimo.
that was just a waste of time, really. If you ask me, like I didn't really care for this either, but
Yeah,
shoot, even the entertainment spectacles and the undercards are more interesting than that.
yeah, yeah.
And not to mention Pete Davidson walking around, you know, trying to talk to everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's the thing, right? So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is a thing now, Wes. YouTube boxing, YouTubers boxing. But yeah, I hope it stops. I'm with Canelo on this one. They're kind of, yeah, yeah,
And Tiafimo.
and
He's
Teofimo.
been on record saying, "You know what? I know Tiafimo's part of the Triller family now." And of course, him and Cambosos tried to kill each other on the
The
announcer's desk. But you know what? If this Holyfield fight is a big flop, guess what? I'm not gonna watch this shit anymore from this company.
Well, that's the thing, right?
I don't care. I don't care that it's Snoop Dogg running the operation.
Right,
Okay.
right. Well,
And you know what?
yeah.
If he loses a customer like me, well, that guy can go on and live his life without me,
Well, that's the thing, right?
or us, or maybe the handful of other boxing fans that can't stand the concept of Triller Fight Club.
Well, that's the thing, right? If this Tommy Fury fight does get made, I think this will be good for Tommy Fury's career, right? Then he gets a little bit more name recognition. He already has the name Fury, which is pretty much synonymous with boxing already. And so, I mean, if he beats up one of the Paul brothers, he'll be even more famous. We kind of get the satisfaction that we've always wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I don't know, but until then, unfortunately, Jake Paul
Is 3-0.
improves to 3-0. Askren falls to 0-1, and probably is never gonna punch anything ever again.
Well, yeah, I mean, he got $1 million, right? He's got more money than he's ever had in a win in UFC. So I think this is it for Ben. I think
I mean,
he walked
Bellator
away
pays out,
smiling.
which is a problem,
Right? Yeah.
because now there's rumors on the internet or like the fighting internet going nuts saying that maybe this was
Yeah.
a setup.
A setup. Yep.
I mean, I don't care for what fighting internet has to say, but oh my god, this was a complete shit show. You did
Yeah.
all of that. You did all of that, like all the performances, all the fireworks, all the undercards of people that nobody knows
Mm.
and probably will never hear of again. It's kind of like calling up a minor league baseball player in September because you for like a month because you're not going to hear from that player ever again once the month is over.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it is what it is. But we're going to stop there. Another quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tony Harrison and Bryant Perella, the Fox on PBC card. Welcome back to the No Decision podcast. We are now going to talk about Detroit's finest, the number 6 154 fighter in the world, Tony Harrison, against Bryant Perella. 12 rounds junior middleweights on the Fox PBC card in Los Angeles, California. Harrison coming off a long layoff, his last fight being against, I think it was Jermel Charlo.
Yeah.
And that was a loss where Harrison lost the belt that he gained from Charlo. So this was a rematch that ended up in Charlo's favor this time around, and
Right.
he took some time off due to personal reasons and coronavirus concerns. But he was back in there against a very well trained Bryant Perella, who was trained by Roy Jones Jr.
Right.
And it seemed like a back and forth fight throughout the 12 rounds that night. Um, Perella was actually ahead on punches landed because PVC likes to take note of that stat,
Right.
and it made me very worried about Tony Harrison because I like him. I really wanted him to bounce back and get back in there,
Yeah.
but after many back and forth rounds, second and third wins, um, it ended up being I believe it was a split draw.
Yeah.
So this doesn't really help Tony Harrison at all.
No, it does not. And yeah, we spoke a little bit about the middleweights earlier on, and yeah, it's now there's it seems as though there's so many sweepstakes in the middleweight division. Right now, it's more about Andre sweepstake, I guess. But yeah, it does not look good. And yeah, he's kind of at a standstill at the moment. It's good that he didn't lose per se, but he didn't look good in this round or in this fight. And so yeah, he's kind of at a standstill with his career, right? I mean, 30 years old, he could still kind of get that second wind, push for a bigger fight, but yeah,
I think there's gonna be a rematch.
yeah.
Something because if you're either one of those guys, that's gonna bother you for a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. Maybe more Tony Harrison than it does Bryant Perella.
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely. And Bright Perella, I mean, he's also a pretty good fighter, like you said, right? 32 years old, but it seems as though Tony Harrison had more to lose, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely,
yeah,
100% because he's ranked.
right, right, exactly. And so now he's at a standstill. Now he's kind of stuck. He has to fight Brian Perella again. And so yeah,
Well, I
after
wouldn't I wouldn't go as far as saying has, but it would be pretty smart to do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like I did watch the fight again this morning, and it was pretty close. I don't want to say, but I think I probably did have Perella up by one round.
So
Uh,
115, 113
yeah,
to
because
Perella.
because like you said, he did land the more punches. Now they weren't the cleanest punches, but I mean that's the thing, right? Like you land punches, it looks like you're winning. So yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
And
So
also it's just the judges thing, right? Judges, some judges like quality, some judges like quantity.
yeah,
So, and they
absolutely.
don't have that. They don't have those stats right by them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
of course,
yeah.
it's all eye test.
Right. And so, I mean, it looked like Bryant Perella was landing more shots, um, and CompuBox kind of backed that up. But yeah, it was a hard fight to to judge pretty much.
Yeah, it was a pretty hard fight to judge. It was a pretty good fight at least, but
Right.
you know what? What I always say around here, there might be a winner and a loser, or perhaps a tie. But there's going to be someone that's always undefeated, and that's the fans, us, the fans. Why? Because we get to talk about it on a day like today.
Right. Yeah.
But hey, great performance to both of those guys. I hope they got bonuses for putting on a very good
Good.
show,
Very good show. Yep.
and hopefully we get to see him back in the ring very soon in 2021. On that note, I'm going to call another timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about La Leyenda and another old man fight and another crossover fight. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the No Decision Podcast. Last round here. Julio Cesar Chavez, the legend, La Leyenda, over 100 fights, world titleist, is going to be fighting Hector Camacho Jr., so the son of his former adversary, on June 19th of this year. On top of that, his kid, JCC Jr., is going to be fighting UFC Hall of Famer Anderson Silva. Exhibitions on both. There's already video of the old man hitting the bag. I'm not too keen on Chavez Jr. Used to
No.
be a fan, but
Yeah.
his troubles, you know, veered me away from viewing him.
Yeah.
I've always loved Anderson, watching UFC.
Spider.
Unfortunately, well, yeah, unfortunately, we never got him to see fight GSP.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a really interesting concept because now, yeah, they're catching on this wave of old dudes fighting and crossover fights. So I don't know, man. I think this would be more. I will say though, I think this will be more fun to watch than fucking that garbage that was Big Paul versus Ben Askren.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of this worry, right, of Julio Cesar Chavez, senior, stepping into the ring. I don't think it's much more about his age, right? He's 58 years old, same age as Evander Holyfield, but it's more you touched on it, Wes. Like, it's the mileage that he's gone through. He's fought 100 fights, and in those 100 fights, he's been hit. And he's 58 years old, so how much more hits can he take? Because I mean, yeah, Hector Camacho Jr. isn't Hector Camacho, but he's still a professional boxer, and he will hit you. And so yeah, I think it's interesting. I think this is more about the legacy between Hector Camacho Sr. and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. And their fights, and I think maybe they just want to relive this, but this is this is dangerous. I'm quite worried about Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Well, how about the other fight? I mean, uh,
Yeah, his kid.
Anderson's not going to be able to kick,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I haven't seen JCC Jr. in a while, so I don't know how he's doing these days
I
fighting
believe
wise.
I saw him in the light heavyweight division. I remember he was fighting a couple months ago, and so I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Was there like any beef between these two? Is there a reason why they?
No, it's probably just one of those things where again they're trying to ride this wave of
Yeah,
like old dudes fighting
yeah,
versus crossover fights.
yeah. And
And yeah,
I'm
they're
pretty
probably
sure.
trying to make their own version to compete with the Triller Fight Club.
Oh yeah,
I don't know who's the main promoter of this, but obviously, you know, they're trying to catch a wave.
yeah.
So,
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, we spoke about it a little bit earlier. Anderson Silva, this is probably the highest he's ever gonna get paid. Um, you know,
I
in a
would,
fight,
I don't know about that,
in a
but
single
I
fight.
mean, maybe in a single fight, sure,
Yeah,
but this is probably just easy money for him
Oh yeah,
at this point.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, it'll be interesting, right? I mean, Anderson Silva, known as the Spider, right? He was kind of like this all around guy in UFC,
Jiu-jitsu, baby.
right? Exactly. And so it'll be interesting how he gets onto boxing. I think he'll hold his own pretty well. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. isn't a slouch, but he also isn't one of the top tier echelon boxers out there. Uh,
Right. But
yeah,
we also got to remember this is
this is a
boxing,
boxing
and
match. Yeah, yeah,
JCC Jr. is the boxer.
right, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, who knows, right? Maybe Anderson Silva has some stuff up his sleeve. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, maybe I'm probably more excited about Senior and Camacho.
Well, sure. I mean, that's just because, the names sound familiar, right?
All
And
right.
obviously, if you live long enough, that's something that would spark your interest.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe more interest of concern than interest of, okay, I want to see these two guys, beat each other up.
Well,
But
yeah, yeah. I guess there's also this underlying rivalry between Mexicans versus Puerto Ricans.
Puerto Ricans,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so I think it's a little bit more of a rivalry than it is Junior versus Anderson Silva. So
sure,
yeah,
sure. But yeah, no, I don't know, man. This is the thing. That's where we're at in the fight game. Crossover fights and old dudes and maybe old women. Who knows? Layla Ali might come in there and try and hurt somebody.
and
But
Wolf.
that's besides the point. We're gonna take our last time out here, and when we come back, we're gonna close it up. Welcome back to the No Decision Podcast. We are now in the closing segment here. Really interesting set of fights this past weekend. We had a triple header basically, and a really interesting announcement with a summer fight. Of course, we want to get your all's opinion about all these fights, as well as the upcoming fights in the fight calendar. But yeah, now is the time that we got to close. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. But for what it's worth, we'll have a fresh set of rounds for you next week. But until then, I'm Wes Ibarra. He's Joy Villapando. Have a great night.